The episode opens with Alan being bossed around by Cecil, the young daughter of Baron Granville, as the two of them attempt to reach some fruit growing high on a tree. Cecil is perched on Alan's shoulders. She is, by her own admission, a little on the shorter side, barking directions at him left and right. Alan is internally contemplating whether it would be worth it to just walk her straight into a lake. He doesn't. Professionalism wins. Barely. When they finally get the fruit down, it turns out to be sour and completely inedible, and somehow, Alan claims he had no idea it was going to taste like that. Cecil moves on with her chin held high and orders him to go buy her something else from the market instead. This is the relationship, folks. This is what Alan's daily life looks like now. But before Alan can even get to the market, he spots something incredible floating through the sky, a magic ship. He had seen smaller tools powered by magic stones before, things like clocks and lights, but nothing on this scale. It stops him in his tracks. There is an entire world of technology he barely knows anything about, and this is just a glimpse of it. We then get a look at Alan's morning routine. He wakes up having slept remarkably well, a massive upgrade from his previous living situation, as he freely admits. 2 plant-type summon features are shown in his status. Apo, a grass-type creature with an ability called Aroma that shortens MP recovery time from 6 hours to 5 for a full 24-hour period after you inhale its scent, and Beansy, another grass-type whose ability is called Leaf of Life. These summon creatures are not just fighters, they are tools with passive and active utilities, and Alan is already thinking about how to use every single one of them to maximum effect. At breakfast, Baron Granville and his wife take notice of Alan's conduct. His manners are sharp, his answers are composed, and his deportment is not what anyone would expect from someone of his background. The Baron mentions offhand that Alan has no talent. He clearly did some digging, but even he seems quietly impressed. Cecil, meanwhile, takes the opportunity to announce that she herself is a wizardess, a 2-star talent, and that her elder brother Mihai has the swordsman talent. Alan files all of this away. He is already thinking about the bigger picture. On his next day off, Alan heads to the Adventurers Guild in town. Not to register, he is there purely to gather information. He studies the monster bounty boards carefully. The local monsters available for hunting include horned rabbits, D-rank goblins, and big toads, with C-rank orcs and armored ants going for significantly higher payouts. Alan pesters one of the guild workers for information about how monster ranks are assigned, and the man eventually caves in. Monster ranks go up the further you get from town, with the highest ranked creatures living near the White Dragon Mountains. Alan also notices a standing bounty for a B-rank creature called a Murder Gulch, located near Ranba Village, worth 200 gold coins, but the worker warns that nobody hunts it because of its devastating speed. And then there's a bounty for the White Dragon itself, an A-rank monster, worth 1,000 gold coins. The reason nobody has claimed it? It's sitting on top of massive deposits of mithril ore inside the White Dragon Mountains, and the reward keeps climbing because people want access to those mines. A name to remember for later. Alan runs into a group of adventurers at the guild. One of them is Raven, someone he will encounter again before the episode is out. He heads out of the city for his first proper monster hunting session, permit in hand, a perk of being a Granville household servant, and gets to work. And this is where things get genuinely exciting for us, because we finally get to see Alan's summoning system in action. He calls out Hawkins, a bird-type E-rank summon, and runs some tests. With an intelligence stat of 150, Hawkins is smart enough to understand direct orders. Then he calls out Tama, a beast-type E-rank summon, but Tama only has 28 intelligence, which means it cannot comprehend verbal commands. Not ideal for a scouting role. Alan makes a note. Orders need to be more specific and tailored to each creature's intelligence level. Then he deploys Dagora, another summon, to help track down monsters. When a group of goblins is found, Alan goes fully tactical. He summons 5 copies of Tama and deploys them in a position that cuts off the goblin's escape within a 50-meter range. Then he brings out Papillon, an insect-type E-rank creature with an ability he had not yet tested in combat, a sleep-inducing powder. The result? An approximately 80% success rate against goblins. The ones that fall asleep get finished off cleanly. Those that do not get handled by the Tama squad. It is not a flawless operation. The powder does not guarantee results, but Alan gathers real data. By the end of the session, he has taken down 5 horned rabbits and 80 goblins for a total of 16,050 EXP, earning 2 level ups in a single day. He is ecstatic. This is the grinding life. He also learns something important about magic stones. D-rank magic stones cannot be used to create E-rank summon creatures, and the reverse is equally true. Rank matching matters when it comes to creating and upgrading his summons. He stores this knowledge carefully, knowing there will be situations where he needs lower rank summons specifically. There is one slightly chaotic moment. Alan gets so deep into his farming session that he loses track of time. When darkness falls, Hawkins and his other bird-type summons become essentially useless for navigation since they cannot see in the dark. Alan ends up briefly, spectacularly lost in the woods. The episode helpfully informs us he miraculously found his way back. How? The episode does not elaborate. Alan is fine. Let us move on. 1 month later, Alan is a man with a routine. He has been monster hunting 4 more times since that first outing, and is now level 12. He has also started acquiring better equipment, including custom iron balls ordered from a local craftsman to use as projectiles. Farming easy monsters for EXP while upgrading gear, the tried and true strategy for any game, as Alan himself notes. It is during one of his off-day hunts that things take an unexpected turn. Hawkins, acting on his own initiative rather than following Alan's specific scouting orders, leads Alan in a completely different direction from what he was asked to find, and Alan arrives to find Raven, yes, the adventurer from the guild, and 2 companions in serious trouble. A group of goblins has badly wounded Raven, and his companion does not have enough MP left to heal him. Alan steps in directly. Since he cannot use his summons openly in front of strangers, he fights the remaining goblins himself. At level 12, with summon buffs pushing his attack and agility over 300, he handles D-rank monsters without needing any help. Then he produces a Leaf of Life, a healing item created using Beansy's ability, and uses it on Raven. The wound closes almost immediately. The adventurers are stunned. Raven's companion, Rita, is also treated. After the encounter, Alan figures out exactly what happened. Hawkins deliberately ignored his assigned scouting parameters and led him to people in danger because it wanted to help them. Alan confronts Hawkins about this directly, and the summoned creature's response makes it clear. These creatures are not simple automatons. Hawkins has something resembling emotions. It prioritized its own sense of right over its orders. Alan reflects on this with genuine awe. ᴅɪsᴄʟᴇ created remarkable summon creatures. He apologizes to Hawkins for the reprimand and promises to give clearer orders in the future to account for situations like this. He also learns something from the aftermath. EXP is not divided when fighting in a party. He earned 160 EXP per goblin in that battle, which is 80% of what he earns farming solo, not a dramatic loss. That is solid data. In return for saving Raven's group, Alan asks for one thing: 100 E-rank magic stones within a week. Nothing dramatic, nothing expensive. The adventurers agree, clearly relieved to get off so lightly. Raven's healing with the Leaf of Life was noticeably faster than the healing Alan's father experienced with a different plant-based item, which leads Alan to deduce the difference between percentage-based healing items and fixed HP healing items. Every encounter is a data point. The episode closes on a lighter note. Cecil is trying to make jam using fruit gathered from a high-up branch, with Alan as her reluctant stepladder again, because her elder brother Mihai is coming home in the spring, and she wants to bake him something special. The mention of Mihai is casual for now, but pay attention to that name. It is going to matter a great deal before long. We are in late December now, and Alan is still 8 years old. The Granville family is gathered at the dinner table, and the meal is actually quite good tonight. Horned rabbit meat hunted by Alan himself. The Baron mentions that Quina Village has successfully met its quota of 20 great boars. Alan thinks of his father with quiet pride. No surprise there. But Thomas, the Baron's younger son, asks why the family has not had great boar for dinner this year if there is such a surplus. The answer is pointed. The king ordered the increased hunting, so all the meat went straight to the royal capital. Thomas is told not to be selfish. Alan, sitting off to the side, notes with some irony that a family of serfs apparently eats better than the son of a noble at certain times of year. But something interesting happens. Thomas asks Alan to hunt a white deer next time. Cecil immediately inserts herself as Alan's unofficial manager and announces that her brother has to go through her to place orders. Alan is quietly baffled by this arrangement. The Baroness gently notes that hunting a white deer is a tall order for someone Alan's age. Alan, however, takes it as a challenge and announces he will hunt one. Internally, he already knows. White deer are C-rank monsters, similar in difficulty to great boars. He loves a challenge, and honestly, this is a great opportunity for EXP research. Fast forward to the hunt. Alan has already located a white deer using Hawkins and his scouting summons. The deer is enormous up close, significantly larger than he expected from a distance. But Alan has a plan. He deploys his Hopper Squad, a team of tone-type summons, and puts them to work provoking the creature repeatedly to wear it down. The tactic is methodical: provoke, retreat, over and over, chipping away at the deer's stamina and health until it falls. The execution is precise and efficient. Nailed it. Alan then drags the thing, and it is genuinely heavy, all the way to the Granville estate and causes something of a scene when the gate guards encounter what appears to be a monster on the grounds. He explains calmly that he went hunting for Thomas, and the household is suitably impressed. Thomas is thrilled. The Baroness notes they now have something special to serve at the New Year's festivities. Alan, less enthusiastically, notes internally that the white deer was absolutely not worth the difficulty for a mere 2,500 EXP. He will never hunt one of those again. The aftermath of the deer hunt triggers something bigger. The Baron, clearly unable to explain how an 8-year-old just brought down a C-rank monster on his own, asks his senior servant Cebus to re-investigate whether Alan truly has no talent. He cannot make the math add up otherwise. And that investigation leads, shortly after, to Alan being called into a formal meeting. The Baron's offer, a new position, huntsman. The role carries 2 official duties. First, hunting monsters to provide food for the household. Second, protecting the townspeople from any monster attacks that occur nearby. It is, as Rickle puts it plainly, basically a hunter employed directly by the noble family. Alan's first thought upon hearing this is barely concealed excitement. He can hunt monsters every day and call it work? This is the dream. His monthly salary will be doubled to 100 silver coins. He accepts without hesitation, though he does have to hide his disappointment when he learns it is only once a week on top of his existing manservant and waiter duties, not a full-time arrangement. The Baron reads his face immediately and reminds him that this can be taken back. Alan very quickly finds his professional composure again. He will carry out all duties with gratitude. Noted. The first real test of the huntsman role comes in March of the new year when Mahai, Cecil's elder brother, returns home from the Academy City for a visit. Mahai is around 13 going on 14, older than he looks, and Cecil is genuinely overjoyed to see him. He had missed the summer visit because of a requirement at the academy, which he explained was a dungeon clearing assignment, not optional. If you failed to clear the dungeon, you got expelled. Alan finds this deeply impressive and slightly enviable. Clearing a dungeon for summer homework is, as he puts it, incredibly cool. Mahai's growth over the past year is extraordinary. He trained directly under Dwerg the Sword Lord, one of the Academy's most revered instructors, and that training shows in every movement he makes. He challenges Alan to a spar, offering him a mithril sword to use, and it goes about as well as you might expect. Alan goes in with full commitment, deploying every bit of speed and agility he has, but Mahai outpaces him completely. Faster in movement, stronger in strikes, and technically superior in swordsmanship, Alan cannot land a single clean hit. He gets thoroughly defeated.
After the duel, Alan reflects on what just happened. His stats are actually built for hunting at this point. At level 20, his attack and agility are solid, his buffs are active, and he should be fast enough to compete. But Mihai attended the academy for a year, trained under world-class instructors, and cleared an actual dungeon. He is on normal mode, meaning he gains EXP at the standard rate, 100 times faster than Alan's hell mode. This is what someone on normal mode looks like after a dedicated year of leveling up. The gap is stark, and Alan doesn't sugarcoat it to himself. He is on hell mode. Everything takes 100 times more effort. He has to keep grinding.
Cecil watches her brother's victory with complete delight. Mihai is gracious and notes that Alan held his own better than expected. He then pulls Alan aside before leaving and makes a quiet, personal request. "Take care of my sister. Keep her safe." Alan says yes, probably not fully understanding how much weight those words are going to carry by the end of this arc. Mihai departs a few days later to return to Academy City, the same place where Krenna, Dogora, and eventually Cecil herself will all end up one day. Alan watches the magic ship disappear into the sky and thinks about dungeons. He very much wishes he could clear one. Some weeks later, a visit from the neighboring noble family, Viscount Carnal and his household, brings an interesting revelation. Over dinner, the Viscount shares news that his youngest daughter underwent the appraisal ceremony recently. The result? She is talentless. And the reaction from both he and the Baron? They treat this as good news. Alan is completely confused. Everyone in the villages he grew up in was overjoyed to receive a talent at the ceremony. Why would a noble family be relieved by the absence of one? The adults exchange a knowing look and mention something called the noble's duty. No further explanation is offered. Alan files the question away. Something about having a talent is apparently a burden for noble families specifically, something that carries obligation, risk, and cost that commoners do not face in the same way. It is a thread that the show is clearly pulling on carefully. We do not get answers here, just the shape of a secret. Alan, now age 9 and heading into October, has been operating as huntsman long enough to develop a real rhythm. He has taken down roughly 10,000 goblins at this point, and the local D-rank monster population around the city is genuinely running dry. He needs to scale up. He visits one of the adventurer regulars, a character who has given him useful information before, and asks for intel on C-rank monsters, specifically what he needs to know before venturing further from the city. By this point, Alan's stats are looking significantly stronger. His enhanced skill has reached level 5, which effectively doubles the buff statistics provided by his summoned creatures. His skill list now includes Summon, Create, Fuse, Enhance at level 4 across the board, plus Expansion at level 3, Storage, and Delete. He has Sword Mastery and Throw both at level 3, and he has now been hunting monsters once a week in his Huntsman role, which has pushed him from level 13 to level 20. He is getting there. Slowly. Hell mode slowly, but getting there. His first real encounter with a C-rank monster in open terrain is an orc, found sleeping, which Alan notes his summons never need to do. Lucky break. He deploys his Thomas squad and they work the orc over with claw attacks until it falls. 1,500 EXP. He also recovers a C-rank magic stone, which opens up new summon creation possibilities down the line. He is strong enough now to handle C-rank monsters without needing to set up elaborate traps in advance. But he stays humble about it. He has a long way to go, and he knows that on Hell mode, falling behind is a real risk if he stops pushing. A second target appears quickly, a C-rank armored ant. These are a different creature entirely, harder shelled, tougher to damage, and physically intimidating. He notes that unlike the orc, physical attacks alone are not going to cut it cleanly against armored types. You would need fire magic or something equivalent to melt through the exoskeleton properly. Alan cannot cast magic himself. Despite his enormous intelligence stat, the crystal ball test confirmed he has no magical aptitude whatsoever. He was told by the testing professor that nobody can cast spells without a talent, and summoners apparently are not one of the talent categories that include spellcasting. Alan's intelligence stat serves other functions entirely.
and that realization stings more than he lets on. He spent his anniversary reward, the one thing Cecil was prepared to give him as a one-year celebration of his service, on a session with a magic aptitude professor, just to confirm he cannot cast spells. Cecil thinks it is a strange and anticlimactic way to spend a milestone reward. Alan just wanted to know for certain. Now he knows. He is not a mage. He is a summoner on Hell mode, and he is going to have to make that work. Cecil, watching him mope over a cookie she offers him, is the unexpected source of something resembling comfort. She has absolutely no idea why he is upset, but she shows up anyway. And sometimes, that is enough.
This episode opens with urgency, and it does not let up. The household is in a controlled panic. A ᴅɪsᴄʟᴇᴜ, yes, the very B-rank monster Alan read about on the bounty board back in episode 7, the one that even experienced adventurers refuse to touch, is heading directly for the city and will arrive within 2 hours. Captain Xenof and his knights are away on a monster hunt and will not be back for 2 days. The Baron immediately orders contact with the Adventurers Guild to protect the city and evacuate citizens. Alan volunteers. He announces he is heading out to intercept the creature. Cecil immediately objects. He is her manservant. He cannot just leave. And Alan, very respectfully, reminds her that he holds a second title, the Granville family huntsman. He has a duty to protect the people of this fiefdom, and with that, he walks out. Here is the problem, though. Alan spent his morning farming skill EXP, which means he burned through all of his MP before the emergency struck. His MP meter is sitting at empty, which means he cannot summon anything. He is running toward a B-rank monster with 0 ability to use his main power set. He needs to stall until his MP regenerates. The recovery window is 5 hours normally, reduced to 5 hours after inhaling Apo scent instead of the standard 6, but either way, he is not waiting around doing nothing. When the ᴅɪsᴄʟᴜ appears, it is genuinely alarming. Citizens are sprinting away from the south gate, a carriage is stuck outside with a family trapped inside, and the adventurers are clearly out of their depth. Alan does the only thing he can. He taunts the creature. He runs directly toward it, calls it names, and makes himself the most interesting target in the area, drawing its attention away from the civilians and toward himself. The adventurers at the gate are horrified, convinced he is just a suicidal child. He is not. He is buying time. What makes the ᴅɪsᴄʟᴜ particularly terrifying as an opponent is its behavior. At one point, Alan catches it essentially toying with him. The thing is described as smirking. It does not just chase and attack, it seems to be savoring the hunt. Alan, dry as ever, wonders aloud if he wandered into a turn-based RPG. He keeps moving, keeps dodging, keeps the creature focused on him and away from the city. After what feels like an eternity, his MP finally refills. Alan deploys a combination of his creature roster immediately. Beast-type summons for direct engagement, bird-type summons for mobility and scouting, insect-type summons including Papillon for the sleep powder debuff, and plant-type summons for support. He throws everything he has at the ᴅɪsᴄʟᴜ. And here is what we learn. Alan can hurt it, he can deal damage, but he cannot kill it. Not yet. A B-rank monster is simply too far above his current capacity for a clean solo elimination. What he can do, and what matters enormously, is keep it occupied and push it away from populated areas. He leads it toward the White Dragon Mountains, progressively steering it away from the city over the course of 3 full days. 3 days of running, dodging, summoning, repositioning, and barely keeping ahead. It chases him through forests, across terrain, through the night. At one point, it has him cornered. He uses everything in his toolkit. He does not die. He does not defeat it. He survives and he redirects, and eventually he manages to create enough distance to break off and limp back toward the city. He collapses at the gate. 3 days without rest, pursued by a B-rank monster the entire time. He sleeps for 2 full days after returning. When he finally wakes, Cecil is sitting nearby, and while loudly declaring she was absolutely not worried, her presence says otherwise. She scolds him firmly for making her concerned. He apologizes, fully composed. The report to Baron Granville is straightforward. Alan was not strong enough to defeat the ᴅɪsᴄʟᴜ, but he managed to leave it away from the city and keep casualties to a minimum. The Baron is genuinely grateful. The family who was trapped in the carriage outside the gate survived because of Alan's intervention. The reward is substantial, 10 gold coins from the Baron himself and another 10 gold coins from the family Alan rescued, 20 gold coins total. Alan notes internally that this is the kind of money that can buy a mithril sword. He goes and buys one almost immediately. Now equipped with a mithril sword and flush with experience from the encounter, Alan takes his next Huntsman Day out to conduct a controlled series of experiments. He is determined to understand the full mechanics of his summoned creatures, especially the question of memory and knowledge sharing. Can summoned creatures carry information between instances? Does knowledge transfer when a new copy is created? Does it persist after a creature is dismissed and resummoned? The tests are methodical. Alan hides an item in a bag and shows it to one copy of Hawkins, then dismisses that copy and summons a fresh one from a card. The new Hawkins knows what's in the bag. Then he sends the first Hawkins away, has it return after a period of absence, and asks if it knows. It does. He creates a brand new Hawkins from scratch and asks the same question. It also knows. But when he tests 2 different copies of Hawkins that were both already summoned simultaneously, those copies do not share knowledge with each other in real time.
The conclusion Alan draws is precise. Summoned creatures can synchronize and update any new information they receive, but only through the creation or summoning process. Already deployed copies cannot sync with each other. Only same-type creatures share this pool. Combined with the fact that they appear to possess genuine intelligence and something resembling feelings, as Hawkins demonstrated in Episode 7, Alan realizes the implications are extraordinary. As long as he stays alive, his summoned creatures are effectively immortal. Knowledge accumulated by one instance is preserved and passed forward through every new copy created. They have unlimited potential for growth over time. Mihai comes home again for his second visit, and Alan requests another sparring session with everything he has got. He's level 28 now, has farmed several thousand C-rank monsters, and is genuinely convinced he might be able to close the gap. He cannot. Mihai wins again without much difficulty. Alan reflects that the Academy's training environment must offer ridiculous EXP multipliers for combat skills, because someone on normal mode who goes through proper dungeon clearing and receives instruction from masters like Dwerg the Sword Lord will naturally outpace someone grinding solo on Hell mode. Mihai even notes that Alan put up a noticeably better fight than last time, which Alan treats as a slight against himself. He lost. There's no partial credit in a duel. Later in that same visit, a breathless messenger arrives with critical news. The White Dragon has migrated. The A-rank creature has left the White Dragon Mountains and moved to the other side of the range. This is the monster that has been sitting on the mithril deposits, blocking access to the mines. Its migration means the path to those mines is potentially open again. The Baron is immediately thinking about resource reclamation and economic opportunity. For Alan, though, the immediate thought is different. The Knights are going to start a massive monster clearing operation to make the mines accessible, and if the Knights sweep the area, Alan's prime farming grounds are going to dry up. He needs a plan. He needs to extract maximum EXP before that window closes. After Mihai returns to the Academy, Alan hits his next major milestone. His skills reach Summon level 5, Fuse level 5, Enhance level 5, and Expansion level 4. He has also unlocked a completely new skill called Share. His inventory can now hold up to 50 summon creature cards. And through the C-rank magic stones he has been accumulating from hunts, he now has access to D-rank summon creatures for the first time. The Share skill turns out to be one of the most significant unlocks in the series so far. When activated on a summoned creature, Alan can see through its eyes, hear through its ears, and even trigger its special abilities, all remotely. He tests it on Hawkins first. The bird flies up into the sky while Alan sits on the ground, and Alan sees the landscape from hundreds of meters up through their shared perspective. He can also control Hawkins' movements directly while sharing. He describes the sensation as multi-boxing, controlling multiple characters simultaneously, managing them like parallel processes. He pushes the test further. He activates Share on multiple creatures at once. With 5 creatures, he's processing 5 simultaneous viewpoints alongside his own. When he tries to add a 6th, the strain is immediate and painful, genuine physical pain, and he cuts the connection. His working hypothesis is that the number of creatures he can share with simultaneously is tied to his intelligence stat.
With buffs active, he is currently sitting at 1,111 intelligence, and he estimates 1 additional share slot per 200 intelligence points. That caps him for 5 for now, but it gives him a clear scaling path. Then he creates his first D-rank summons. Hollow, a bird-type D-rank with night vision, which solves the night scouting problem that got him lost in the woods back in episode 7. Teddy, a beast-type D-rank with a powerful crush attack. Spidey, an insect-type D-rank that can immobilize targets with spider silk. Brawn, another D-rank with a protect ability that provides shielding. And ᴅɪsᴄʟ, a plant-type with a spray ability that buffs evasion for the entire team. Catertot, a D-rank plant summon, has an ability called Crop of Magic, and when Alan tests it, it recovers 1,000 MP in a single use. After years of manually waiting for MP to regenerate at the 5-hour mark, Alan finally has an on-demand MP recovery tool. He reacts to this the way you would expect someone to react to finally finding a resource item they have needed for 3 years. He immediately restructures his combat strategy around his new resources. Hawkins and Hollow will cover scouting during the day and night respectively. ᴅɪsᴄʟ buffs evasion for the entire team. Spidey immobilizes and debuffs targets. Teddy delivers the decisive strikes, and with ᴅɪsᴄʟ's intelligence buff pushing Alan past 1,600, he can now share with 8 summon creatures simultaneously. He can hunt monsters every single day of the month without ever needing to be physically present in the fight. He deploys his team into the forest, gives strict instructions to avoid all human adventurers and never attack people even if provoked, and lets them work. They clean house. C-rank monsters fall quickly when Spidey's debuff and Teddy's attack combine. The system is working. The episode ends with Alan watching his summon team operate at a distance, orchestrating everything through share, and glancing in the direction of the mountains where the white dragon once roosted. He has one more idea for how to use the share skill, and based on what he's looking at, it has something to do with scouting territory that no one else can safely reach. And in the final moments, we cut away briefly to Alan sending gold coins home to his family, quietly, without fanfare. He has not forgotten where he came from.
Alan is 10 years old now, and the world around him is beginning to move in ways that feel bigger than the fiefdom. The episode opens not with Alan in the field, but with a quiet meeting in the Granville estate. Captain Zinov is reporting back to the Baron. He has spent the last 6 months conducting reconnaissance of the White Dragon Mountains. The news is not simple. During the century that the mines sat unused, the entire area became a nesting ground for monsters. The 4 mining sites are all overrun. The nearby villages that used to serve as mithril refineries have also been taken over. Goblins and orcs have effectively colonized the region. Zinov's estimate to get even the closest mine operational again is at minimum 3 years. The Baron, clearly impatient, instructs him to work as fast as possible. There is also a note about the neighboring Carnell fiefdom. Viscount Carnell tried to push forward with his own mining operations and ran directly into the White Dragon's wrath. His entire crew of miners was destroyed. Now, with his mines shut down, nobody knows what Carnell will do next. The Baron tells Zinov they must proceed with caution. Alan, listening nearby, processes all of this with his own personal lens. The knights are going to sweep the area, and if they sweep the area, his farming grounds disappear with it. There is already a notification sitting in the background. 1 orc killed, 15,000 EXP gained. Alan has been busy over the past 6 months. He has made the most of the time remaining, and he knows his window is closing. Alan's plan going forward is clear. He will wipe out the goblin and orc burrows in the region, one by one, before the knights get there. Not just for EXP, though that is certainly part of it. He makes the decision explicitly. These monsters feed on humans. Leaving them alive is not something he can justify. His team of summons moves through the area methodically, finding goblin settlements, blocking escape routes, and eliminating every creature inside. He describes his approach as turning what would be a EXP grinding exercise into an actual act of protection for the people who live nearby. He is cleaning house, and doing it thoroughly. In October, we cut to Mihai returning home. He has graduated from the academy. Cecil runs to greet him, thrilled beyond words. Thomas is equally excited. But something is wrong. Alan notices it immediately, and Cecil does too. Mihai is not himself. There is a heaviness to him that was not there before. When Alan asks if something is wrong, Mihai keeps the answer to himself.
Before the subject can be properly addressed, the Baron suggests a sparring match between Alan and Mihai. Alan throws himself into it completely. This is the year. He is level 34. His stats at maximum build are the best they have ever been, and he genuinely thinks he might have a chance. He does not. Mihai is faster than him, more technically refined, and reads every attack before it comes. Alan tries speed. He tries raw aggression. His sword mastery skill is still only at level 3, and Mihai's superior technique turns every telegraphed strike against him. The bout ends in clear defeat. Alan lands on the ground and processes the loss. His sword skill is the limiting factor. He files it away. Then Mihai calls Cecil and Thomas aside and delivers news that changes everything. He must leave to undertake the noble's duty, and he will not be coming home for 3 years. Cecil is shattered. She does not understand. She asks what kind of duty. Mihai says he cannot explain. She asks when he leaves. Tomorrow. The word lands like a stone. The Baron's expression is the expression of a man who knew this was coming and has been carrying the weight of it quietly. Cecil's reaction is the raw, unfiltered grief of a child who just had the floor pulled from under her. Thomas does not even fully understand what is happening. Alan, standing a step removed, starts to connect the pieces he has been assembling since that earlier visit from Viscount Carnell. The conversation about 2 of the Baron's 3 children having talents, the comment about the noble's duty being something that had to be fulfilled, the Viscount's relief that his daughter had no talent. Now Mihai, young, brilliant, freshly graduated from the academy, trained by sword lords, is being dispatched somewhere dangerous, and the Baron knew all along. The invitation to the academy, the training, the whole structure of noble life with a talent seems designed to prepare children for this specific obligation. Whatever the noble's duty actually is, it is clearly not a ceremonial title. Before Mihai leaves, he pulls Alan aside privately. Keep Cecil safe. It is the second time he has asked this. His hands are trembling slightly, and Alan wonders later whether he imagined it. The next 6 months after Mihai's departure are productive in the grimmer sense. Alan systematically locates and destroys every goblin burrow in the area near the mountains. He is now level 35. His team is composed of 30 copies of Spidey and 20 copies of Teddy packed into his 50-card inventory, with the rest reserved for Brawn and Filet. His age restriction on stats has been lifted as he turned 10, which means he is now receiving the full benefit of his level across every single stat category. This is Alan operating at his current ceiling, and that ceiling is impressive, though he cannot make himself complacent. The goblin burrows fall quickly. Then Alan sets his sights on the orc burrows, which are a different matter entirely. He scouts using Hollow at night and Hawkins during the day, coordinating his share connections across 8 summons simultaneously. When he identifies a large orc settlement, roughly 200 creatures, including a mix of standard orcs and something unexpected, he deploys the full Teddy and Spidey squad, blocks the exits, and begins the assault. The fight goes well until it doesn't. Among the orcs, there are a subset Alan had not anticipated, magic-using orcs capable of casting fire spells. One of them hits his rear formation where his defensive summon Brawn can't cover, and Alan takes real damage for the first time in a while. He retaliates hard. His iron balls, thrown with his maxed throw skill, can eliminate a magic orc in a single hit, but he only has a limited supply, and the remaining magic orcs pull back out of range. He burns through his MP recovery items, summons wave after wave of Teddy copies to maintain pressure, and grinds the orc force down creature by creature.
Then the real problem shows up. The Orc King. A B-rank creature, and it shows immediately. It mows through Alan's summoned units in single strikes. Alan cannot summon replacements fast enough. He tries to keep Brawn up for protection, but the king knocks Brawn offline in one hit. Alan takes a direct blow himself and is forced to use a healing item. He is in genuine trouble for the first time in this fight. Pinned down, unable to get his summons close enough to deal meaningful damage, and taking fire from the magic orcs in the background simultaneously. He makes the hard call. This cannot be won today. He begins to retreat. And then Captain Xenoph arrives. Not tomorrow, today. He saw the smoke from the battle from a distance and came to investigate early. ᴄʟʟ looks at Alan, takes in the scene, summon creatures fighting in organized formation, monster corpses everywhere, and orc kings still standing, and says nothing about the summons. He simply tells his vice captain, ᴅɪsᴄʟᴜ, to handle the remaining forces, and walks directly toward the orc king himself. What follows is something Alan describes as watching a battle of aces. ᴄʟʟ, the war demon, a title the man earned through years of frontline service, squares off against a B-rank creature twice his size and dismantles it. He parries strikes from a monster far heavier than himself. He identifies and eliminates the magic orcs systematically while simultaneously fighting the king at close range. He finishes it without using an extra skill. Alan is slack-jawed. Vice Captain ᴅɪsᴄʟᴜ handles the remaining forces with equivalent brutality. Neither of them are ordinary. On the walk back, ᴄʟʟ makes his move. He has been watching for a while, he tells Alan. The dead monster carcasses stripped of magic stones that have been appearing outside the city for years. He figured out who was responsible not long after it started. Hunting a white deer alone, competing with Mihai in sparring, none of it added up for a supposedly talentless serf. ᴄʟʟ confirms he saw everything today, the summon creatures, the strategic deployment, all of it, and he offers Alan a deal. He will leave the full truth out of his report to the Baron. In exchange, Alan will keep him informed of his monster hunting progress. Their goals are aligned anyway, clearing the region of monsters that threaten the people. Alan thinks about it for a moment, then agrees. He adds one private caveat to himself. He is not going to mention the part about being in communication with ᴅɪsᴄʟᴜ, the god of creation. That would open a door he is not ready to walk through in public. ᴄʟʟ also mentions, matter-of-factly, that the Baron has known for some time that Alan has a talent. It was the real reason for the Huntsman promotion. The Baron is not blind, he simply gives Alan space. 2 weeks later, with the orc burrow fully cleared with ᴄʟʟ's help, Alan sits down and calculates. The total EXP from an orc burrow is 335,000. That is over 7 times what a goblin burrow yields. Losing the fight with the orc king was the learning he needed to develop a proper strategy. Next time, he will know to neutralize the magic orcs first and protect his rear formation from the start. He made a temporary failure into eventual success. Hardcore gamer methodology, as he puts it. September arrives. A royal messenger appears at the estate, an already an unwelcome sight given recent events, and this time he is accompanied by Viscount Carnel. Alan has a bad feeling immediately. The two men deliver news to the Baron. The mithril mines are operational again, thanks in large part to Alan's monster-clearing work, which he does not broadcast. And the royal family, represented by the messenger, wants to propose a formal solution to the ancient rivalry between the Granville and Carnel fiefdoms over the mountain resources. The proposal? Co-management. Both families share the White Dragon Mountains, split all mining profits equally, and stabilize both fiefdoms for generations. Carnel has already signed. All that remains is the Baron's signature. The Baron declines to sign on the spot. He wants to travel to the royal capital first and assess the situation through proper channels. Viscount Carnel does not take this well. He accuses the Baron of greed and makes threats, barely veiled, before departing with the messenger. The tension in the room is tight enough to cut with a blade. Alan processes what just happened. The co-management idea sounds reasonable on paper, but anyone associated with Viscount Carnel cannot be trusted at face value. The Baron is being cautious. The problem is, refusing outright makes the Granville family look greedy in front of the crown. It's a trap with walls on every side, and the Baron is trying to find the exit without walking into any of them. Then a servant rushes in. Cecile is missing. She climbed out of her window. She's gone. And Alan, who was standing right there, was the one person who was supposed to be watching out.
The episode picks up exactly where the last one left us, in the quiet, awful aftermath of the news about Mihai. Cecile has not gone far. Alan finds her sitting somewhere outside the estate, too tired and too grief-stricken to walk any further. She speaks quietly. She says she cannot believe Mihai is gone. She has been carrying something in her pocket, a gold coin, that tells us, without any explanation needed, exactly where she has been since she slipped out her window. And then Alan does something unexpected. Instead of ushering her home immediately or trying to rationalize the situation, he sits down nearby and simply does his job. He has brought food, because that is what a manservant does. She eats. She insists she is not crying, which anyone can see is not quite true, but Alan does not challenge it. He just stays. She asks him directly, "Her brother was strong, was he not?" Alan says yes, he was. He never managed to beat him in a single spar. Cecil sits with that for a moment, then admits the truth she has been circling. She is terrified. The thought of dying is terrifying to her, terrifyingly so. She just wants to go home to her family. She knows or suspects that the noble's duty carries a real chance of death, and she is wondering aloud in the dark whether that same fate is waiting for her. Alan listens, and then he says something that would probably get him dismissed on the spot if any senior servant heard it. He asks if she would like to run away with him. Just forget about everything, travel the world, go wherever they want. Cecil immediately calls this insane, which it is, and notes that they absolutely cannot do that. Alan counters. What if they wait until next year when both of them are old enough to register as adventurers? Alan reminds him she will be enrolled in the academy by then. Alan's response is blunt. Who says you have to go? It is your life. Choose how you want to live it. It is a quietly radical thing to say to a noble child who has been raised entirely within the structure of duty and obligation. Cecil does not have an answer, but she thinks about it. Eventually, she makes her own choice. She asks Alan to take her home, not because she was talked into anything, not because she has no other option, but because she chose to go back. Alan carries her on his back when she says her legs hurt, and they walk back through the dark. She thanks him quietly. He tells her not to mention it. Back at the estate, Baron Granville takes Cecil aside privately to explain the truth about the noble's duty, something he had previously kept from her. Thomas is excluded from this conversation, which upsets him. Alan and the servants wait outside, and Alan pieces together what he overhears. The Baron has a plan. With the mithril mines reopened, there is a path to buying Cecil an exemption from the noble's duty by gifting the royal family the mining rights. He intends to handle the negotiations himself. It is a calculated move, painful economically, but it keeps Cecil alive. And based on what happened to Behi, the Baron knows exactly how real the danger is. Alan absorbs this information and lets it settle. He is already thinking about next steps. His next goal, practically speaking, is to continue clearing the area around the White Dragon Mountains before the Knights fully take over. He has identified a target that has been blocking part of the lower mountain access, an armored ant colony. He knows from general knowledge that such colonies hold over 1,000 soldier ants and are guarded by a B-rank queen who continuously lays eggs to replenish losses. The nest has a single entrance just barely large enough for one ant to pass through, and the interior is described as a complex maze. He cannot map it from the sky, he cannot send his daytime summons in at night. He starts the assault anyway. The first month is a grind in the most literal sense. He visits twice a week, and each time he manages to kill roughly 200 ants before the flow becomes unmanageable. Each armored ant is worth 3,000 EXP, which is genuinely excellent for a C-rank creature, but the colony simply keeps regenerating. He kills 2,000 ants across the month, and the entrance is still pouring out soldiers as fast as before. The queen is eating the corpses and laying new eggs to replace the losses. He cannot drain the colony faster than it refills from the outside. He changes his strategy. Instead of fighting at the entrance, he begins creating a sustained attrition grind, eliminating as many as possible on each visit, consistently, over 2 months. By the time the colony finally stops producing a continuous stream of defenders from the entrance, he has eliminated 5,000 armored ants in total. The entrance goes quiet. Now it's time to go inside. This is where the share skill becomes indispensable. Alan activates Cher with his night vision-capable summon Hollow and sends it into the tunnel while staying outside himself. Through Hollow's vision, he can see the pitch-black interior of the nest in perfect clarity. The maze is staggeringly complex. He deploys multiple copies of Hollow simultaneously, each one exploring a different passage, all feeding him visual information simultaneously across his 8-Cher connection. Managing 8 viewpoints and 8 separate creatures moving through 3-dimensional underground space is, as he puts it, like playing a very long and mentally exhausting RPG minigame. He nearly loses track of multiple routes. His brain hurts. He wants chocolate. After careful mapping, he locates the egg chamber, and then, critically, he locates the queen armored ant herself. She is enormous, roughly 3 times the size of a normal armored ant soldier. He deploys his combat squad. Teddy Squad for primary damage, Spidey to lock her down, Brawn for protection, and he cycles through summons faster than she can destroy them. The Queen knocks them down consistently, but Alan can summon more faster than she can eliminate them, and Teddy's attacks are targeting her abdomen where the damage lands most effectively. After a hard fight with roughly 20 summons used in total, the Queen falls. 45,000 EXP.
He notes the number with some surprise. He needed more than 100 summons to take down the Orc King, but this queen fell to 20. She was probably weakened from the months of constant egg production. The math makes sense. Alan cannot return to town that night. It is too late. He camps inside the now empty nest. While gathering evidence of the kill to bring back to the Baron, he finds something unexpected in the queen's chamber: mithril ore. Not just a trace amount, actual mithril ore sitting in the chamber where the queen laid her eggs. He brings back 2 things the next morning: the exoskeleton of the queen armored ant and the mithril ore. The household reacts with disbelief when he claims he went up into the White Dragon Mountains. The exoskeleton is real and large enough to prove something happened. Armored ants do come in different sizes, so it is technically possible, but Xenoph himself notes that not even the knighthood has ever successfully cleared an armored ant colony due to the sheer number of soldiers in the labyrinthine interior. The implied question hanging in the air is, how did a 12-year-old do it? Alan's honest answer is that it was only possible because of his summons. He says this plainly. The Baron and Xenoph accept it, and the mithril ore causes an entirely different kind of stir, because it means there is an accessible vein in the mountains that does not require fighting through the White Dragon's former territory. The mines have been restarted, the nearby orc and goblin populations are cleared, and now there is additional ore being discovered. The economic situation of the Granville fiefdom is in the process of a complete turnaround. Work on the newly discovered vein will not begin until next year, but Alan is acknowledged as a key contributor. He is given a stake in the mine's future profits. For a child who grew up as a serf, this is an almost incomprehensible shift in material reality. Alan, sitting with this success, feels something unexpected: dissatisfaction. He is safe, he has money, the local threats are cleared, and something about that comfort feels wrong. He was born for the edge. He thrives when things are difficult. This is not enough. He wants to expand, to push further, to find bigger challenges. He plans to bring this up with the Baron when the moment is right. The moment does not arrive, because the royal messenger appears again, and this time he has brought Viscount Carnal with him. The co-management contract is back on the table. The Baron refuses again, citing the need to investigate at the capital first. Carnal is furious, makes veiled threats, and leaves. That very same day, while Alan is still processing the meeting's implications, including how this double bind between refusing to look greedy and refusing to trust Carnal is nearly unsolvable, a servant rushes in with a new emergency. Cecil has been taken. Intruders attacked the estate during the distraction of the meeting. They tied her up and carried her away. Alan rushes through the estate. He finds Cecil, confirms she is alive and unharmed, but bound, and immediately begins cutting her free. Then one of Carnal's men appears, a hired fighter named Dagra, who engages Alan directly. The fight is sharp and difficult. Dagra hits harder than Alan expected, and the intrusion is timed to coincide with the household's attention being elsewhere. Alan loses his mithril sword in the chaos. He manages to subdue one guard using Papillon's sleep powder, which takes one enemy offline immediately. But then the crisis escalates. Someone announces that more of Cecil's captors are escaping with her. Alan pursues. He fights through the chaos, takes down another guard, and reaches Cecil, only to realize they are not on solid ground anymore. There is a window. Outside is darkness, and the view is very, very far below the Earth. They are on a magic ship. It is airborne and already moving. Alan looks out at the night sky below them and does the math. 100 meters up, approximately. The landing strip is visible below. His dagger is stuck in a defeated enemy. His sword is back at the estate. He has almost no conventional weapons left. Escape by jumping? He rapidly reconfigures his summon buffs to maximize endurance and HP as high as possible, takes Cecil by the arm, and tells her that they are going to jump. Cecil protests that this is one of the stupidest plans she has ever heard. Alan jumps. They survive, barely. His legs break on impact, healed immediately with a leaf of life. Cecil is shaken but physically intact. They pick themselves up on the ground below and start running. They need to get back to Granville territory before Karnal's forces can regroup. The escape has begun.
We pick up right at the moment of impact. Alan and Cecil have just jumped from a magic ship, flying at roughly 100 meters altitude. Alan hit the ground legs first, which broke both of them. The leaf of life did its job and healed him almost immediately. Cecil is on her feet, baffled, terrified, and very much alive. She immediately demands to know what was in those leaves, where the monsters came from, how he is this strong, and why exactly he thought jumping out of a flying vessel was a reasonable plan. Alan does not have time to answer any of it. He tells her to get on his back. They need to move. Dogra, the hired fighter from Karnal's crew, is still aboard the ship, for now, and the window to put distance between themselves and the landing area is closing fast. Alan puts Cecil on his back and runs. He activates his share connection with Hollow ahead of them to scout the terrain in the dark, and simultaneously keeps a secondary share running with Hawkins to watch for pursuit from the direction of the ship. Dogra, it turns out, has a tracking skill, and Alan deduces quickly that it works by following physical footprints rather than providing a map-based location. This is critical information. It means Alan can break the trail if he stops leaving tracks on the ground. He takes to the trees, climbing, jumping, moving through branches and elevated terrain to erase their path. It slows them down, but it disrupts the pursuit. For a time, Hawkins confirms from the air that Dogra has lost their trail. They move through the night, 1.5 days of travel on foot, or more accurately, Alan running with Cecil on his back much of the way, using Hollow for night navigation and Hawkins for aerial scouting, brings them to the northern edge of the Granville fiefdom, the border checkpoint. It is a legitimate fortified position with Granville knights stationed there. Cecil's legs are worn raw from the journey, and Alan uses what healing supplies he has to keep her going. When they finally arrive at the checkpoint, the soldiers stationed there cannot believe what they are seeing. Cecil is alive. They made it. But Alan is not relaxing. He has been watching through Hawkins, and the picture is bad. Dogra has found their footprints again. He somehow shook Hawkins off his tail, which means he figured out or suspected that Alan was using the bird to track him and deliberately neutralized that advantage. He is close, and this checkpoint does not have enough manpower to fend off someone at Dogra's level. Alan looks at Cecil and says what needs to be said. Staying here is not actually safe. Cecil, exhausted and pushed to her absolute limit, asks him something quietly. Can he just save himself? Can he leave her here and go? She is cracking under the stress, as anyone in her position would be. She is 12 years old. She has been kidnapped, jumped out of a flying ship, and spent a day and a half being carried through wilderness while a professional fighter hunts them. She is allowed to ask that question. Alan's answer is immediate and simple. He made a promise. Before Mihai left, he swore he would keep Cecil safe. He said it plainly, to her brother's face, and he is going to honor it. They are both going home. He asks her to hold on a little longer. What Alan has not told her is that he already sent 2 of his summons, Hawkins and a new creature called Chappie, to find Captain Zenoff the moment they crossed back into Granville territory. It was a quiet play made without announcement. He planted the solution before Cecil could panic, and now it is just a matter of whether Zenoff arrives in time. He does not arrive in time for the murder gulch. The creature appears behind them from the tree line, the same B-rank monster Alan spent 3 days leading away from the city back in episode 9. 3 years ago, it was pure survival. This time, Alan makes a different decision. He is going to fight it. He cannot lead it away again, not with Cecil present and Dagra closing in from the other direction. If the murder gulch gets close to Cecil, it will not hold back. At least, Dagra still needs her alive as a hostage. The murder gulch has no such motive. Alan tells Cecil to stay where she is, calls out his squad, and faces down the creature. The battle is genuinely harrowing. The murder gulch is a predator that plays with its targets, and it knows Alan from before. It remembers being hit with his attacks during their previous encounter and adjusts accordingly. His Spidey and Teddy summons work to immobilize and assault it, and Brawn provides defensive coverage. But the creature is fast, it is smart, and it does not make the same mistakes twice. At one point, it bites down directly on Alan. Alan does not collapse. He had anticipated that it might try to close with him, and in the moments before contact, he reconfigured all of his buff cards to maximum HP and endurance. What would have been a killing blow lands on a body that has been had its durability pushed to its peak. He tanks the hit. The murder gulch finds it is bitten off more than expected. Alan pries himself free and finishes it. 82,000 EXP. The creature is defeated, and Alan has the grim satisfaction of 3 years of growth paying off in a single defining moment. He uses a healing item to address his own injuries. Cecil, who watched the entire fight from behind him, is visibly shaken, not by fear, but by something else. She has just seen for the first time what Alan actually is in a fight. There is no time to process it. Dagra arrives. Alan checks his resources. No iron balls left, his dagger is embedded in the murder gulch, and his mithril sword is still back at the Granville estate where he dropped it during the initial escape. He has his summons, but Dagra has demonstrated a specific skill set that is difficult to handle with D-rank creatures alone. Alan tells Cecil to run. He will hold the line. Dagra is not impressed by the display of loyalty. He moves on Alan. Alan, operating at the edge of what he can do without conventional weapons, manages to keep the fight going, but barely. He cannot land the decisive hit. He cannot escape the exchange cleanly either. And then the fight changes. Cecil has not run. She has turned back. Alan is being pushed, and she is watching it happen, and she makes a decision. She extends her hands and casts a fireball. It's the first time we have seen Cecil use her wizardess talent in an actual combat situation. Not a practice session, not a demonstration. She uses it to stop a blow that was about to land on Alan. She calls Dagra out by name. She overheard his colleagues talking about him on the magic ship. She tells him plainly what she knows. He ran from the war after just 1 year of service, couldn't hold his post, and now works for money hurting children. She calls him a loser, without a hint of fear, completely spent of MP, standing from a man who could end the conversation permanently. Dagra's reaction is rage. He moves to end it. And then, exactly as Alan planned, Xenof arrives.
Hawkins and Chappie reached him. He came. Alan had been buying time, not just to survive, but to guarantee Xenof would be there before the situation became unrecoverable. And now, the war demon himself faces off against Dagra. Dagra is a former soldier who deserted after losing his unit, carrying genuine bitterness and real skill. He and Xenof exchange words. Dagra's grievance is real, rooted in watching companions fall in a war he no longer believed was worth fighting. Xenof's response is equally real. He lost all of his brothers-in-arms too. He was the only survivor. But they served their duty, they fought for the people and the kingdom, and he will not allow their memory to be dishonored by someone who walked away. He activates his extra skill, Aura Blade. The fight ends. The aftermath unfolds over the following weeks. The Baron travels to the royal capital and makes the case directly to the king. Viscount Carnal's actions, kidnapping a noble child, deploying a hired fighter against her, attempting coercion through physical threat, are exposed in full. The consequences are severe. The Carnal fiefdom is dissolved entirely and placed under direct royal administration. This chain of events, initiated by the Baron's refusal to be intimidated and Alan and Cecil's survival, becomes formally recorded as the Granville incident. And now, with the immediate crisis resolved, the Baron does something he has not done before. He grants Alan and Cecil permission to hear the truth about the noble's duty, both of them together in the same room, What follows is a revelation that reframes everything we have watched over the past several episodes. The Baron unfolds a map of the world. There is a large landmass called the Central Continent. The kingdom they live in, the Kingdom of Ratash, is located there. To the north is the enormous empire of ᴅɪsᴄʟᴇ, and on a continent elsewhere, 112 years ago, something calling itself the Demon Lord of the End appeared. It declared itself ruler of all nations. No one submitted. 50 years later, 62 years ago from the present, the Great Calamity struck. Every monster in the world was elevated by one rank. The Demon Lord launched a military invasion of the Central Continent using millions of monsters, all of B rank or higher. 4 countries were wiped out in 4 years. The Dwarven Empire of Baucis and the Elven continent of Rosenheim were also attacked. The world was losing. In response, the Empire of ᴅɪsᴄʟᴇ organized what became the 5-Continent Alliance and established a system. Every nation would build an academy. Any child born with a talent would be trained and sent to the front lines as a soldier. This is the system that trained Mihai. This is the system that took him and never sent him home. Even with this structure in place, the ᴅɪsᴄʟᴇ Empire lost a quarter of its territory. Doomsday felt very close. Then, 22 years ago, something changed. A person named Helmios was born in the Empire with a talent no one had ever documented before, Hero. At age 15, he entered the battlefield, and within 5 years, he forced the Demon Lord's army back and reclaimed all the lost territory. He is 22 years old now, still fighting on the front lines. He is the reason the situation has not collapsed completely. But even with the hero, the war continues. The Demon Lord's threat persists, and half of every wave of talented young soldiers sent to the front lines still do not come back. The noble's duty, stripped of all the euphemism, any member of nobility or royalty born with a talent is legally conscripted for 3 years of military service at the front lines. That is what took Mihai. That is the system the Granvelle and Carnal families both quietly dreaded when their children received their talents. It is also why the Viscount treated his daughter's lack of talent as a relief. Alan sits with all of this and begins connecting threads he has been carrying for years. His frontier village, the demand for boar meat, the Baron's frugality despite his position, the whole architecture of the kingdom's resource mobilization. It all resolves into a single coherent picture. The world is at war. It has been at war for decades, and the system built to fight that war is built on the backs of young people with talents who have no choice in the matter. Baron Granvelle then tells Alan what he needs from him. He tried to obtain an exemption from the noble's duty for Cecil, going directly to the king. The king refused. Cecil's wizardess talent is too valuable to release from service. The Baron cannot protect her through legal means. He asks Alan, who the Baron has known for some time possesses a talent, even if its full nature was never disclosed, to accompany Cecil to Academy City and serve as her personal guardian, both at the Academy and on the battlefield when the time comes. Alan agrees, but he does not accept the 600 gold coins the Baron offers. Instead, he proposes 2 modifications to his reward. First, use 400 of those gold coins to purchase a permanent exemption from the head tax for his family back in Krenna village, and also for Krenna's family. The Baron agrees without hesitation. Second, he formally resigns from his position as manservant. He will still protect Cecil. He will fulfill every commitment he has made to this family, but he will do so as an independent party, not a servant. He wants to be free to operate on his own terms while still honoring the people who gave him the start. The Baron accepts. He has, in fact, already prepared something for this moment. He hands Alan a sword, not as a gift, but as a symbol. Alan is now an honored guest of the Granvelle family. The sword is proof that the household will stand behind him regardless of where his path leads. The Baron has just been promoted from Baron to Viscount in no small part because of Alan's contributions, and he issues this recognition with genuine pride. Alan walks away from the meeting holding the sword and reflects on everything that brought him here. Why was he reincarnated into this world as a serf rather than simply arriving as an adult? Why did he end up as the son of Rodin the boar hunter in a tiny frontier village? Why Hell mode? Why 100 times the EXP requirement? It all fits now.
He needed to be born at the bottom, work his way into the Baron's household, build a skill set through years of unglamorous grinding, and arrive at Academy City already capable. If he had appeared as an adult with no roots, no history, and no access credentials, none of this would have been possible. ᴅɪsᴄʟ needed someone willing to go through the grind from the very beginning, someone who picked Hell Mode and said yes. Alan closes this chapter of his life and looks ahead at the next one. Academy City, the front lines. A demon lord who has been conquering the world for over a century, whose army still outnumbers and overwhelms human forces, even with a hero on their side. Alan thinks about what that means for his own trajectory and makes his decision without hesitation. He will go with Cecil, he will protect her, and he will beat the demon lord. It is, after all, just a harder difficulty setting, and he has never once put a game down because it was too hard.